sont dits partout.
What's going on there, jerk faces? It's your boy Andy, and you're watching Nocturnal Transmissions, brought to you by the Circle of Jerks podcast. It's a conversation you could be having during the day, but having at night. We are back this week with another episode for you guys. We got the movie review of this being the last. Is it this? No. There's one more week. Sorry. Apologies. This is the penultimate review for this month, which is again military courtroom procedurals. And tonight we'll be reviewing A Few Good Men, starring Tom Cruise, Demi Moore, Jack Nicholson. Actually, this movie is a very star-studded movie. Even at either like current A-listers or A-listers in potentia, up and comers were in this movie. Yeah, or even people that went from movies to TV. In the case of Kiefer Sutherland, who's also again in this movie. That and of course the topics of the day to discuss, all that hopefully within a reasonable time frame. But I'm not holding my breath because we just kind of like to let things flow here at Nocturnal Transmissions. And as ever, co-hosting this thing with me is the homeboy Rob. Yeah, I mean for you specifically. No. Would you like to open us up with recounting the tale of your misery?
A really big problem. Have that take a look at.
Just start it back up again.
Oh, what I was saying is that we discovered a water leak in my apartment on Saturday, thanks to Andy.
Yes.
And on Monday, got a chance to have that taken a look at, and yeah, pretty bad water leak. I mean, once they like cut through the floor, and the water just came right to the top of the hole, which was it's like, oh great. But they actually caught it early enough where there's no mold or anything like that surfaced. So, and the last of that got fixed today. They ended up replacing the pipe fixture and everything that was leaking. So that's good. So that's all fixed. But yeah, it was a hot water leak because we were wondering, it's like, man, the floor is really like warm. Like it was almost hot.
Yeah, because that was one of the things I was noticing because before it because it actually was very fortuitous that I came over and I sat in the seat that I did because
you're right.
Not to say that you or your wife wouldn't have discovered the leak.
Yeah, I'm just glad we figured it out.
But just like it was like really odd because like the floor was like really hot, and then like as we were having our meal, I just like the bottom of my feet were getting wet, and I was like, what's going on? I'm like, it's I don't have sweaty feet. I actually have the exact opposite problem, and I have chronically dry feet to the point where I have to lotion my feet like every day.
Oh wow, yeah. And you're not incontinent either.
Yeah, and I'm not incontinent, so and I didn't, and like you guys kept accusing me of like spilling something there, and I was like, I didn't spill anything.
I was joking. I didn't actually think that you spilled anything. I believed you. I'm just like.
Right. But yeah, it's kind of sucks that this happened, but it's also kind of a good thing that you're able to catch it in time.
Yeah, and then I don't know, like Joyce's the wife's kind of been suffering with some. I don't know if it's like a stomach bug or it's not. We realize it's not appendicitis.
Okay, yeah, because
Well,
yeah,
that's
we got together last
yesterday.
night, and yeah, we were hanging out, and then during the course of our hanging out, your wife started complaining about some abdominal pain.
Yeah, and so I'm not really. So I was kind of scouring to find a doctor that we could get an appointment with,
Mm-hmm.
and most. God, it was a pain in the ass trying to search for one today, and best I could do, I actually went probably gonna be going to my parents' doctor who
Mm-hmm.
they had an appointment available for Monday, I think.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like,
Or
because
yeah, I mean,
everyone else was like,
worst case scenario, you just taking it to urgent care.
yeah, I guess I could do that if it doesn't get better tomorrow, I may just do that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to think like where one is, but
Yeah, I mean, especially if she's like I mean,
it hasn't
you know,
gotten
if we
worse.
have if we haven't we've determined that's not appendicitis, but like yeah, if like she's like living, she's like kind of constantly in pain, then yeah, I think it's one of those situations where like, maybe immediate medical attention is warranted. And like I mean, I know a lot of people don't want to go to emergency rooms, and so
That actually
the
might not be.
urgent care could be a viable option.
Yeah, no, because it hasn't gotten worse, so that's a good sign. It
Mm-hmm.
hasn't gotten worse, but it hasn't necessarily gotten progressively better. And she's so like she won't take any over the counter like medicine, which is kind of like at least at least see if it helps,
Right.
but
I mean, especially if she's like in as much pain as she is describing.
she refuses
I'm,
on
I'm
me.
yeah, I'm kind of the same way because like I won't take I won't even take an aspirin like for a headache unless it's like really painful, and like I just can't tolerate any longer. And so yeah, I'm kind of the same way.
I
Uh,
like I said, I understand that to a point, but like when
mm,
it's like there's some because there are some medicines that I think that aren't necessarily like too intrusive. That
mm,
but they're helpful, especially
right.
and especially for someone that doesn't take a lot of medicine, which same with it's how it is with her.
Mm,
It might help, but whatever. She won't listen to me, so
mm,
we'll we at least have an appointment scheduled. But if she's not better tomorrow, I probably will just take her to the urgent care. I didn't actually think of that, but
yeah. It's interesting though. Just you describing your wife's uh, hesitance to take any kind of medication or like kind of like pain tolerance. It always
yeah,
reminds me of that scene from that TV show Scrubs when they're describing different people's pain tolerances, and it's like there's a woman giving birth, and she's like she's like, oh, it's not that bad, it's not that bad, and then like her husband like bites his lip, and it's like, oh, this is the most painful thing I ever been through. And then it's
yeah,
like, and like also, and then they're like talking about, oh, it could also, depend on culture. And it's like this like sushi, like this Asian like sushi chef with the sushi knife in his shoulder, and it's like what knife?
yeah, yeah.
And so yeah, I
Well,
get it. It's like I get it.
and it's like she's obviously like she's kind of like an exposed nerve, like where everything like kind of like bugs her and stuff like
Mm,
that. So it's just like, oh honey, I'm in pain. It's like, well, I I have some options if you'll listen to me. No,
mm.
I don't want to do that. It's like, oh, I mean,
It's like, well, then
I
just
want to help,
suffer,
but I can't help.
right? It's just like at a certain point, it's like, okay, just suffer then, all right.
It's
Wow.
so.
Yeah, I mean, I understand because like yeah, because like I remember yeah, I remember being young and like not being able to tolerate, I remember getting sick and just like kind of like, you know, acting as though I was on death's door. Uh, but now now that I'm a grown up, uh, I'm much more capable of putting up with misery, as it were. Particularly
Yeah.
like physical or like with the sickness. Yeah, like to the point where now like it takes a lot for me to actually go and see a doctor or seek treatment for something.
Yeah, same here.
Uh,
Yeah.
because like yeah, I'll just like a lot of times I'll just tough it out or interestingly the only time that I utilized or yeah that I utilize home remedies is this one time that I got I was hit with like a particularly virulent cold, and my usual regimen of like supplements or whatever just wasn't doing it this time, and so just taking it upon myself to research different home remedies. I came upon garlic, and it's like yeah, just eat a clove of garlic, and then you should be you right as rain. So then I picked a particularly plump clove of garlic. I chewed it and devoured it, and and then I went to sleep, and then the next morning I was like 100% better. Like no, like I did not feel any lingering feelings of that of the cold, but it could have been like I'll granted that it could just have been coincidence. Maybe I was like on the mend already, but
Couldn't.
but I legitimately was feeling like not any better than when I initially got sick. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, so I do believe that the garlic treatment it does do something. And like I even told my to the point like now like when I told my mom about it, like when she was sick one time, and then she got over practically the next day. Now she's like a proponent of garlic, and like tells all her friends like, oh, my son taught me this, eat a clove of garlic.
But yeah, so that's kind of like what I'm dealing with right now. It's
Mm-hmm.
not really, and then obviously like my living room is kind of askew right now. I'm gonna be getting new flooring, which is great.
Mm-hmm.
But that's not gonna be until like next week sometime. So I don't
Right.
know.
And no cost to you though, right?
No cost to me, but it's just like I gotta figure out like how I'm gonna get everything moved around to the point like where because they're gonna have to do it in parts, I think.
Right.
Uh,
Yeah. I'm thinking segments too. Probably you probably will want them to do like your dining area first, because since it's adjacent to the kitchen,
that's right. Yeah.
and so yeah, and so that way they can kind of do like some creative like movement stuff. So like they could get like the dining area whatever done, and then they can move all the dining stuff back, and then also move the chair the the living room stuff over to the kitchen the dining room side, so they can work
Yeah,
on the living room.
that's pretty much what I think what's gonna have to happen.
Mm,
But we'll figure it out somehow.
mm,
Um, maybe but yeah, I have to figure that out and do it without the like where just Joyce is kind of like just wearing me out. It's like, oh, they're gonna do all this. It's like, okay, you gotta just I'll handle it. Just just you gotta just let them do their work, honey. Don't
mm,
like we'll get it done. Just don't worry about it.
mm.
But sometimes she gets so worked up. It's like, okay, like let's worry about what's in front of us right now because we have a lot dealing with. We'll deal with that when it comes. It's not here
Right.
yet.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, I remember. I during when we were hanging out yesterday, she was kind of getting a little cart before the horse, as
Yeah,
it
trying
were.
to
It's like trying to redesign like your entire living room or whatever.
like no, you're. I'm not saying like don't look, but first of all, I can't afford a new table right now.
Mm-hmm.
I just spent way too much money on our first anniversary trip, and like we need to recover some. It's like
Mm-hmm.
I didn't really want to have this whole issue, and like she's not like feeling well, so she hasn't been working at all,
Right.
which kind of also hurts us a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just Just like I'm so like annoyed right now. I just and it's like I to be honest, I do kind of want her to feel better so that she goes to work, and it's like I need space. It's just like I love my wife, but I need fucking
Right.
space.
1,000 times you love your wife.
Yes, clearly I've stuck it out this long. It's I think we're gonna make
right?
it.
And as I almost gleefully remind you, you chose this.
Uh, but it is what it is.
All right, for sure. All right, should we get into topics of discussion?
Let's dive into the shit.
All right.
I'm already in the pool, so let's keep going.
Okay. All right. Which topic would you like to start off?
Let's start out with the what I think is kind of something that I think has been popping up quite a bit, like this past like week or so since we were on, is like, and it's been kind of popping up here and there, like the past month or so, but like a lot of these, so-called conservative movements or companies that are kind of coming out as more or less like either not quite what they advertise or all out kind of an all out grift or whatever. It's kind of I think it's kind of troubling. Well, especially because
totally.
People like us who we know that the mainstream media is, or the legacy media is garbage, which it is. That's not just CNN, but it's Fox News. It's all of it. It's all pretty much the same thing. And so, and we actually do have some really good new media that's out there. People that are actually doing some good journalism, some good reporting, and even have like good opinion stuff that's out there too. It's actually well thought out. It's not just some fever dream from some raving lunatic, like like we see on the left. So that's a great positive that I think that we're seeing. But there's also a lot of these companies or things that are like they either are missing out on like the idea of what it means to be a conservative. Like I think they're losing the argument already, maybe without realizing that they're missing out on the argument. They're missing the point. It's kind of like the whole idea of people that were all up in arms about it and so excited for Bruce Jenner running for governor of California, saying it's like, it's the left. Those are the real transphobes. Like, you've already lost, you moron. It's like
right. Yeah, it's like, oh, like look at the left attacking, the once, darling of the left, Caitlyn Jenner. They reveal themselves as the real transphobes, but it's like, but by you embracing Caitlyn Jenner, you are tacitly accepting transgenderism.
Exactly, which it's like I think there's a lot of that going on out there. It's just a lot of not either people just like caught up in the moment and not really thinking about the bigger picture, or they don't really understand. They're conserving nothing essentially, or you get like the companies that like they kind of are conservative, kind of sort of, but then as time goes on, more gets revealed about them. It's like, oh well, maybe they're actually not for they're kind. It's not like the whole idea like Michael Jordan is like Republicans buy shoes too, not that type of idea, but it's more of like they actually secretly hate like conservatives, but they want their money too.
Right. It's the wolf in sheep's clothing.
Yeah. And there's a lot of that out there too.
Type of thing. Yeah, or like a lot of things are coming to light where like it's being revealed as such. Oh
And I
man,
just think
yeah.
I just
Well,
want.
like one of the things I think one of the big problems is there's this misnomer or this misunderstanding of the term like conservatism. And I'm not saying that like I like know definitely 100% sure what conservatism is and how to implement it, but I think one of the big problems is that conservatism has this air of stagnation or movement. Because like to conserve something is the idea like what a lot of people automatically think is like, oh, we want things to remain the same. But I think again, I think that's a misunderstanding. What it really means is because uh, what is it? I mean, I think it's like a car brand. A car that a car company that put out a car from in the like they take Ford in the Model T, right? That came out like in the early 1900s.
That's right. Yeah.
It's not as though it's like, oh, that's a winning formula, so we're just gonna keep making Model Ts forever. Like,
Though
no,
Henry
no.
Ford did try to do that for a while.
Yeah, I mean, admittedly, yes, but eventually, once they got like kind of like the base figured out, like the shape of it, and like the four wheels is better than three wheels, or and like this is the form that we're gonna have, and we want to keep that, but we're gonna make improvements. Like we're gonna make it sleeker, so it's more aerodynamic, or we're gonna use like stronger and lighter materials so it can go faster. We're gonna increase the engine size so it has more power, so it can go up hills better, and it's
Right.
so conservatism is kind of like that. It's not opposed to change. It just wants to keep you know
It wants to keep the foundation in
exactly. He wants to keep the foundation, the things that are solid, that work, that are that work anywhere and all times.
and I think actually I heard something this week that actually made a whole lot of sense to me, and
Hmm.
because I would say that I would agree with this point
Hmm.
is that I think a lot of people that are in the supposed conservative movement today, they're
Hmm.
their thinking is a little bit more shallow. It's like, oh, we need to go back to like the time of Reagan and stuff like that. It's
Right,
like,
or
well,
like
I mean,
yeah, or like or
time,
the
yeah,
50s, or people like, oh, we
yeah,
have to have America like the 50s. It's like,
no, it's
no, it wasn't perfect
that's
back
not
then
true.
either. Um,
And like it's
it
not
was
really
it
the
pretty
time.
good? Yeah, it was pretty good. I mean, everyone's standard of living was good. Everyone was able to afford houses, and everyone was able to have two cars or whatever. Um,
But
so was it good? Yeah, the 50s were good, but let's have a better version of that now.
well, oh, see, so I'm actually no. What I'm saying is like I think that's the wrong way of thinking. In that, like, yeah, okay, those times are good. They had their merits, and they were, you know, what you would call what a lot of people think is like a much more conservative time.
Mm-hmm.
But I actually think it's like more of like, especially when it comes to our governance, is like, what are we trying to preserve? We're trying to what are we trying to conserve? That is the vision of the founders. That doesn't like in kind of what you're talking about. It's not about that we don't want to make improvements upon that, but we've gone so far away from what made that great and why it
Mm-hmm.
was a good movement. And we've essentially gone to something where it's like it's not limited government. It's government that has way too much overreach. We've given up. Uh, we've given back all the not just like rights that were given to us by the government because they weren't given to us by the government. They're
Right.
God-given rights, but we're just like, no, we don't need that. That's fine. You guys take it. You're much smarter than us.
Mm-hmm.
It's we've given all that up because I don't know what freedom's scary. I guess it's like yeah, that doesn't it doesn't. There's gonna be times where people fail and it sucks, but
Right.
that's where like it wasn't about the government saving your ass and like making things like good for you. That's
Mm-hmm.
where like having a strong community, a strong family, uh, a setting like that's how things work. That's how the people that were suffering, you help them in your community. It meant something to you because if someone in your community was having a problem, you were having a problem. If someone in your family is having a problem, you're having a problem. It's everyone needs that that you live next to. It's like you care for them, you want what's best for them.
Mm-hmm.
And the government is a faraway entity that doesn't that really actually has barely any effect on your life as it should be. And like what really matters is like local governance.
Mm-hmm.
And we've gone so far away from that. And I understand, we are in a more of a global society. Yeah, we're more, obviously the internet has changed the game in a lot of ways. We are connected to places like, unfortunately, like China, Japan. I mean, that China's a bad idea, or being connected to them is not great. But we're connected to places like Japan, Korea, Canada, all these places and we can reach them instantaneously, almost.
Mm-hmm.
And we can use that for good. I think there's a lot of good in that, but I think we've kind of got this idea that it's like, oh well, it's global governance. Having one single body that like is overall this
Mm-hmm.
like hegemony. It's like that's kind of like where we're heading right now, and it doesn't work.
Right, no, because it's too big. It's like before, you know, the American government was good because it was small and nimble and was able to react faster. But now, like, it's like this huge, hulking mass where it's like, it's like you can't, you can't even make a left, you can't even turn left or right or whatever because it'll just take too long because it's because of the size. And so, I mean, like, look, I mean, perfect example, I think, is with Katrina. It's
Yeah.
like instead of empowering like the local governments to take care of the situation on the ground, you had like the feds come in and just like what was it? It took them like 4 days or something to get water to people at the Superdome
Something like that.
refugee center. Yeah, it's just like.
And to be
Yeah,
honest,
because it's too big.
People shouldn't be relying on FEMA. Like that's where it's like you work together as a local community. Obviously, that
Yeah, I
hurricanes
mean,
are.
yeah, with the most recent I think one of the better examples recently is, I think it was Hurricane Harvey in 2018, and the what is it? I think it was colloquially called the Cajun Navy. People from Louisiana heading to Texas to with their own personal boats to go and like rescue people.
Yeah.
And that was a rousing success. And then you had like those, you had that picture of that man, that man carrying, he didn't have like a standard government vest or something that denoted that he was from the government. I'm pretty sure he was what is it? Just a regular citizen, who took it upon himself to go and help his neighbor. And so you have that great image of that man carrying that woman through the water while she was carrying her baby. And that's how it should have been. It should have been people at the local level helping each other instead of waiting for Big Daddy government to come in and save them.
That's exactly like that's what, to me, that's what conservatism looks like. Not like, oh, let's have this porn star invite this porn star to Turning Point USA and like have her. I don't know if she was like a guest like that was going to be speaking or whatever, but like,
well, from what I understand is she had a VIP like pass, so she wasn't just like she wasn't just there because the what is it? I believe her stage name is Brandy Love. Um, she wasn't there on her own dime to go check it out and go or because she's like a secret conservative or she wants to know about conservatism, doing her own homework about it. But she someone in the organization like gave her a VIP pass.
Yeah, and I mean, it's just like, come on, that's not conservatism. That it's the same idea as like, when we vote for Bruce Jenner, it's like, oh man, the left, those are the real transphobes. This is the exact same thing. this does nothing for the conservative movement.
Mm-hmm.
If anything, we lose a lot of arguments.
Mm-hmm.
You know, about having like more, you know, kind of like a more moral society, more, you know, something that like we actually have standards. Like the left has no standards at all, but like the right is essentially becoming that. It's like, well, the left doesn't have standards, why should we?
Right, and it's exactly to the point, exactly the kind of the point that I've been making for a while now, and it's just like the right has to stop reacting to the left. You know, it's just, you know, kind of like, again, with the Bruce Jenner thing. It's like, oh, well, you know, like, you know, oh, the left is going after Bruce Jenner. Like, oh, you know, they're revealing themselves to be the real transphobes. Like, no, like, stop it. You know, by you embracing Bruce Jenner, you are tacitly supporting transgenderism. You know,
Right.
and it's like, you know, and you can't, and if you consider yourself, you know, conservative, Republican, you know, religious person, then you can't. You have to say no. We can't. You know, we can't support Bruce Jenner in this. You know, we don't hate him. We don't want to. You know, we don't want any harm wished upon him. But we can't support him.
But yeah, so you know, there's that, and then you know, the idea that, you know, I look at someone like the guy from what is that guy in Colorado with his masterpiece bake shop, or like the you know, like My Pillow. Like those guys are actually like, you know, conservative guys. Like they're not like, I mean, yeah, Mike Lindell actually, you know, has a bigger platform, but
Mm-hmm.
you know, both those guys are actually like, not only are they fighting, but they're putting their money where their mouth is, and they actually have standards that they're fighting for, at great cost to themselves. Whereas you have some of these other companies that are either at best like, you know, maybe centrist, but like, you know, they come off as more of a, you know, quote unquote conservative company, and then, you know, come to find out it's like, oh, they actually like hate you, and they're just trying to, they have this, it's a marketing gimmick essentially, where they're marketing themselves this way because, like, in kind of a more evil fashion. You know, I was talking to you before we started. It's kind of the whole Michael Jordan thing where, you know, it's like he said what he said. He was very kind of like middle of the road because, like, hey, Republicans buy shoes too, so he didn't want to necessarily take a side because he
Right.
wasn't.
And yeah, and it was like, yeah, I mean, this is why I miss sports from the '90s, is because I didn't know what Michael Jordan's position was. I didn't know if he
And I
was, it didn't matter. You know, and
and
like, it's like some people were trying to pressure him into, the story goes is like, the Democrat Party basically came to him and asked him if he would endorse or whatever, this black Democratic candidate that was running for, I think, Congress or something.
yeah,
And Jordan said no. He just turned them down. He said, no, I won't do it. And then, that was the legendary line now, where it's just like, oh, well, Republicans buy shoes too. And just
and it's
like,
like,
I'm not. And I mean, and I think Jordan came from a very, like, purely capitalistic point of view, where it's like, I'm not gonna slam half of the demographic, just so I can win, points with, some other, with some other demographic that might even not even care, or like not even be interested in sports.
yeah. Um, well,
But
and
yeah, it's just like,
but
we just
that's
like, the
more or
right
less
has to
kind of
stop reacting to the left. I mean, ultimately, that's what it comes down to. Because every time we react, the right keeps going closer to the left.
well, it's also the same thing with like with the celebrities that come out, like where they actually like kind of have a not towing the
Not
party line
crazy, yeah,
all the
yeah.
time
Mm-hmm.
type of, like, oh, they're it's like one thing that's like where they like actually like, apply some brain cells and said something smart, which is great, and I think maybe this one time, yeah, they're right, and I might and I applaud them for it. It's like we want to give them this platform, raise them up. It's like on a pedestal. It's like they're the new conservative hero. It's like it's the same thing with these companies too. It's like, stop it already. Just stop. they haven't like necessarily like proven that they're going to be like standing up for what conservatives stand for. A few people have, you know, like the two that I mentioned, like the My Pillow guy and you know, the Masterpiece Cake Shop. You know, kind of a not like I guess you could Michael Lindell does, it's a big business, but it's not necessarily like what you he's not on the same level as like an Amazon, you know.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, so in a lot of ways he is a small business in a lot of ways, and then obviously like the Masterpiece Cake place, like that's like really small, and the guy is fighting for he just wants to bake stuff, like he wants to be an artist, like that's all he cares about, but but the guy has, instead of just caving in, he has decided to, no, this is the fight I need to have, because my not only is my rights are at stake, and not just his rights, but a lot of people's rights, because
future Americans' rights. But I mean, because it's like, if you're gonna make the Christian baker, you know, bake the wedding cake, the gay wedding cake, then you know you have to make the Jewish deli sell you BLT. You have to, you know, you have to have the Muslim deli sell you non-halal food.
Right. Well, and that's the idea too. It's not like he's the lone baker in Colorado. Like, it's like it's just him. He has cornered the market in Colorado, and there's nowhere else that these people can go to. It's literally like down the block there was another baker that is, you know, quote unquote alphabet friendly.
That goes to another point of, you know, targeting. And like, you know, people, you know, of like particularly of the Christian faith are more targeted than any other group. Particularly,
I stand behind people who stand up and fight against those people, these bullies, these evil monsters, and say that, like, no, I'm not gonna toe that line. I'm sorry, it's just not gonna do it. And it great personal risk to themselves, because they know it's not just about them. You know, they're willing to take that stand. You know, they may lose big, but they're willing to take that stand. That's a conservative. But then you have these other companies like your Black Rifle Coffee, or your you know, Harry's Razors or whatever, and like, yeah, they have that, you know, what looks like they're a conservative company, but then, you know, when, you know, shit hits the fan, or like they cave under the pressure, not in like it's not like, oh, they fought a valiant fight and they finally caved just because they have no more choice. No, I mean, it's kind of like, so someone came at them with like waving like their fists, and they just like curled into a ball, and it's like, oh, they just gave up right away, okay, and then they just essentially like their true colors came out, and it's like, oh, they actually hate you, okay, got it. And it's just, I'm for one of, like, not that I was always kind of like wary of that sometimes, like, it's because I want to. To me, I used to just not care. I just want a good product, but I don't want to spend money with a company that hates me. Yeah,
like, right. I mean, yeah, and that's, you know, that's why I don't necessarily endorse. I don't endorse boycotts or boycotts, as they're now being called. You know, I just personally take it upon myself not to consume said product or utilize said service. You know, just you know, for me personally, you know, I've stopped buying Starbucks coffee. You know, you know, especially after their whole thing, like, oh, let's start a conversation about race. Like, no, how about you just serve me my damn coffee? You know? And what if I'm in a hurry? I don't have time to like sit there and like have like an hour long discussion about race. You know, I gotta go places. You know, I have to go to work, or I have to go meet up somebody. I'm just here to grab some coffee. I don't have time to fucking talk to a barista who probably doesn't want to have the conversation either.
Exactly. Well, and you know, it's funny. I was
I stopped. So I stopped buying. Yeah, so I stopped buying Starbucks coffee. Well, that's not entirely. You know, every once in a while, it's like if it's the only option, or I'm with somebody who wants to go get Starbucks, and then yeah, I'll go grab something. But
Yeah, I'm
generally
not gonna
speaking, I no
like.
longer do it. Plus, I just I make my own, particularly iced coffee. I love iced coffee. It's been I like consuming coffee chilled. So I
Yeah,
just
well,
I just
you
make it
you started.
myself.
Yeah, you either made it yourself or like you actually you actually started to really like 7-Eleven coffee. It's like
That
you're
too,
like, oh,
yeah. 7-Eleven coffee
yeah,
was yeah, 'cause it was cheap and it was just as
yeah.
good. I was able to, customize it the way I wanted it
They
because
actually have a really good reward point system over there. I got their
yeah,
app.
I
Like,
heard about that. Yeah, because what is it? A friend of mine, we were at 7-Eleven. He wanted to get coffee, and I saw this thing where it said like, oh, 79 cents for coffee.
yeah,
But it was only with through the app. Special
yeah,
deal like if you sign up for the app, and so he did, and he got coffee for 79 cents.
yeah. And the rewards are not shitty either. You actually get like legitimately good stuff. Like,
Mhm.
and you accumulate points like pretty quickly.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I mean
Yeah,
that must be really incentivizing for you since you have a 7-Eleven really close by to your place.
I literally, it takes me 2 minutes to walk there.
Yeah.
I'm taking their wings. Their wings are surprisingly good.
Yeah, it's really weird because surprisingly, a lot of their hot food, like kind of like ready to consume stuff, is really good.
I was shocked. I was like, wait a second, this is supposed to be bad, but it's not. It's really
Right.
good.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, don't sleep on 7-Eleven. It's it's good. It's
Yeah.
good. It's good food. I'm not saying that it's the best for you nutrition wise,
Oh,
but it's damn tasty. It's damn
right.
tasty.
The but no, the whole idea of like the whole like I was before we started, I was watching a movie on the was it the Tubi, which is
Mhm.
it's a free movie app, but you have there's ads, and uh, one of the ads actually really caught my attention because it goes to this point of like, oh, we need to have a conversation about race or something. Just no, I don't care. Just serve me like the damn food or the damn coffee or whatever.
Mhm.
But this commercial was it was all kids, all kid actors, and it was like them yelling at corporations like and like they're in these quote unquote disaster zones. Oh, there's
Oh
flooding. There's
yeah,
all
yeah. Oh
there's,
yeah, I saw that one. Oh god, that's so insufferable. It's like, shut up,
I was
kids. You
like,
don't know the fuck.
what
You don't know what the
the
fuck you're talking about.
this what the hell is this? Like, no, I don't give a shit about I don't want corporations to help me out. It's like I don't want the government to help me out. Like, I don't need the federal government to come like to my aid uh in disaster. It's like, let me take care of myself. I don't need you. It's the same thing.
Right.
I don't want
Yeah.
like I don't care what Amazon, I don't care that oh, we care about you. It's like, no, you
No,
don't.
you
You
don't.
care
You
about
don't
more
even care
money.
about your own
Like,
fucking workers. That's why they
just
have to
sell
take
me.
their pee breaks in like fucking Gatorade bottles.
Yeah, it's like you just make a good product. If it's good, I'll buy it, and then that's it. And if it's and to be honest, like it's weird that because I'm a huge NASCAR fan, and obviously like there's definitely products I've bought because oh hey that's a former NASCAR sponsor. Like and it's like, oh, I wouldn't have tried that product had it not been for that. And it's in a lot of ways like at that back in like the 90s, early 2000s, it was fun. It's like, hey, you know what, this product's really good, like I like it. And we kind of make fun, like we want that Rolling Rock money, and I would sell the hell out of Rolling Rock. It's like, but I'm not going to be like, we need to have a conversation at Rolling Rock about how you know beer beer is not just about beer, but it's actually about like social justice. Go to fucking hell. If that ever happens, like I will stop buying Rolling Rock immediately. you know it's like it's like, just stop. Like, just sell me the damn beer. Make a good beer, which you do, and just sell me the damn beer, and I will sell the hell out of it.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, like it's the old, Laura Ingraham line where it's like, it's crazy because she did on both sides. Because first, she slammed the Dixie Chicks,
Shut up
and
and
then
say
and then like years later, she slammed LeBron. Both sides. She slammed both sides, and she's not wrong. All right, it's like
this is
shut up,
absolutely
just shut
right.
up and sing, and shut up and dribble.
Yeah, like I said, I don't, I don't care if my sports stars are conservative or liberal. Let them do what they want to do on their own time. Like I care about like what they do on the racetrack, like or on the basketball court or on the baseball field. Like that's what I care about. I care about like I. I mean, obviously, like my favorite stars, I want to learn about them if like they're really good and if they're I enjoy that aspect of it, but I don't really care about their political leanings. I never cared about that until it injected until you encroached upon my territory, which is
Mhm.
like sports and like all this stuff. I care about it. Now I have to care about it, which is fortunate. And I've pretty much like gone away from sports because of it.
Yeah, me too. I mean, I wasn't that I was never that much of a sports guy either. But my only real sport was basketball. But that
They
went
hate you.
downhill real fast.
Yeah.
Yeah, they hate you. I mean, right now it's no, that's not it. I think I misunderstood something. But yeah, all these people who are like shilling for uh, or still consuming like products from like these companies, thinking that it's like, oh no, it's fine. No, they didn't mean it that like the way that they did. It's well, I was gonna come up with this. I did come up with this analogy, but uh, this classic one will do fine. And that's just it's like battered wife syndrome. It's like, oh, they didn't mean it that way. It's like, no. It's just, they were just having a bad day. And they just make these excuses for it, and and then they'll never get out of that abusive relationship.
Yeah. I I don't know. It just frustrates me because it's I wonder, it's like, yeah, I'm a conservative, but it's like I can't think of too many people that really I know that actually want to conserve something on our side. I mean,
Right.
yes,
Yeah. I
I
mean,
mean,
like, I'm even like leaning towards like not even using like the conservative label because like conservatives haven't been able to conserve anything. Like, I mean, what is they haven't even been able to conservatives haven't even been able to conserve the ladies' room.
yeah, exactly. It's like if you just keep like giving up, it's funny. Like, was it Dinesh D'Souza put this really well? It's like
Mm-hmm.
you had all this power, and you, I mean, you literally had both sides of the Congress. You
Mm-hmm.
had the presidency, and you had a lot of maneuverability to get things done that you supposedly had been championing for years that you haven't been able to get done. Now you have this opportunity, and you, instead of doing anything, you did. I mean, they didn't do anything. They did nothing. And now
Yeah.
that, we lost all, we have no power. Oh man, it's like, but we're gonna really stand up this time. It's like, it's the same grift. These guys, it's like, why do we keep voting for these same jokers? Like, just get rid of them. They
Yeah,
don't.
I mean, it's just
They're
like
not.
it's like Ted Cruz and like his constant like, oh yeah, we have to hold the tech companies accountable. It's like, bitch, all you do is hold these fucking like hearings, and then you don't slam them, you don't censor them, you don't impose fines on them for deplatforming people. You don't do Ted Cruz doesn't do anything.
The one guy that I've seen that's done something was the governor in Florida, where he actually passed a bill that's like, okay, if these tech companies silence political candidates, I mean, at least to start off,
Mm-hmm.
political candidates and they are banned off the platform because they don't hold the views that these people want, they will be fined. Like, I think it was like $100,000 a day or something, something to that amount. It's like,
Mm-hmm.
well, I mean, it's a start. It's something. Somebody
Mm-hmm.
did something. It's at the state level, but God, it's a start. At least somebody had the
Yeah, I
balls
mean,
to.
I mean, hopefully that's the snowflake that causes that starts the avalanche.
It's just like it's my God, like the Lindsey Grahams of the world, and it's just. and it's
Yeah, I
like,
know it's
and
frustrating.
whenever we do have a candidate that actually does like have some that can make some waves and do something, like as we're going to get into here in our next segment, is they will do anything. They will rob, cheat, murder, steal, whatever they need to do to get rid of those people.
Mm-hmm.
It's like they're going to keep, but what we're left with is the, like I said, the Lindsey Grahams and the Mitch McConnells and the what's his face that ran for president with
Ted Cruz.
2012. No, in 2012, the Mitch. The fuck was his name? The Mormon.
Yeah. God, that's how irrelevant he is. I know he's a rhino neocon.
Yeah, it's like, and he it's just, I'll think of his name here in a second, but yeah, it's just like that's what we're left with.
Mitt Romney.
Mitt Romney, thank you. It was something that started with M.
Yeah.
It's like that's what we're left with, and or the Liz Cheney's of the world. It's like, God, stop.
Yeah, I mean that's what I think. Well, I think going forward we have to play local like it's federal. So people have to not give a shit about federal government. They have to make their local government everything, and they have to pay attention about that. Like who's on the school board, who's the mayor, who's your city council representative, who's your fucking dog catcher. You have to fucking scrutinize the shit out of those people.
Well, yeah, exactly. I mean, because that's exactly what the left has done. They've done that. I mean, there's so many very well funded. I mean, they have been taking over the courts at the state level. District attorneys, judges.
Yeah, district attorneys who act like public defenders instead of district attorneys.
Yeah, like you said, school board. I mean, hell, until like the last election, I was like, I really didn't know that these were, and it makes sense because the government is funding a lot of these schools. That they're, I mean, like the community college board. Like I didn't know that was a voting position. Had I known that, like I would have been researching that like well before knowing. Now I know. It's like I gotta be more, yeah, I'm no longer in college, but like God, it's like I want to make sure that the next generation is not being raised up under the banner of the 1619 Project.
Yeah, the hammer and sickle.
Yeah, and it's like let's actually learn what we need to learn and have some dignity.
Let's not worry about because everyone kind of concentrate on the federal, like with the president and and Congress and Senate. It's like who gives a shit about those people? All right, because it's the people. It's like because right now, like in LA, we didn't even get 2 weeks into when they after they removed the mandate for masks. We didn't even get 2 weeks before they reinstituted that shit. All right, and it's not because Biden said that we have to institute it. It's the local. It's Garcetti. Yeah. It's fucking that crypt keeper looking bitch, who's like the head of the human health and resources or whatever department. Like who's not even a medical doctor. We're taking medical advice from a non-medical doctor. All right, her doctorate is in some fucking soft pseudo social science.
How is she not Surgeon General? I don't.
I know, right? She's the same as Jill Biden, all right? And Jill Biden is a fucking doctor in English.
Yeah, it's just
she won't be able to sew back. You won't be able to stitch your arm back up, but she'll tell you where to put your semicolons and periods.
It's I think it's like I could just be like frustrated and depressed like most conservatives are, but I'm not going to go that direction. Yes, I am very frustrated, but I think we need to channel that frustration into taking back our local governance.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because that's where we're gonna start fixing this crap. Because for this country, for I don't know when the turning point was, But for a long time, the federal government really actually meant nothing. It was no one actually really cared too much about who the president was. It was about like who your congressman was. It was about who your mayor was. I mean, hell, the local sheriff had more sway in a lot of communities than say like a senator. Because and maybe this goes back to like that idea where like we are more of a global community just because we are so connected, but that doesn't mean that we have to be like governed by like one giant body like this blob. We can go back to having more of a common like kind of like a local connection. Well, and obviously, no conservative by any stretch of the imagination, but like, Robert Downey Jr. actually said something that I actually semi agree with, where he's talking about like where one of his mottos is that like he thinks globally, but he acts locally. Like it's we have a lot more going on, but I can't reach all the sections of the globe. But what I can do is I can act in my local community and make a difference there. And that makes a whole lot of sense, actually.
Indeed it does.
And I think, and honestly, even especially as Christians, I actually think that that's actually not a bad mindset to have either. It's obviously, God calls us in a lot of different directions. And sometimes, my wife's parents are missionaries. They're over in Chile. Like, God kind of called them over to that area, which is great. That's where their heart is, and they work really hard and they care about the community that they're in. But I think like a lot of times, especially God doesn't always call us over to like some abandoned tribe in some jungle that no one's heard of. To spread the gospel, though that does happen. But a lot of times it's who's who's your neighbor, who, and I think if we think on a political and on a personal level, if we're acting on a more local level and caring about what's around us, I think we can make a huge difference. The left has been doing that, and obviously we see what the results have been. It's garbage.
Yeah, I mean, my own church. Yeah, we fund a lot of different missionaries. That work in different countries like Thailand or Brazil or Mongolia.
And I think that's good.
And then we also then started our a more local ministry, and we do outreach and we go out into the community, like literally into where where my church is, and my church isn't like in the best like of neighborhoods.
No, it's not.
And it just touches the border, because any line on a map is a border, and one of the big ones is the 405 freeway, and we're on one side of it, which is kind of like on the better side, but just on the other side is a more rougher neighborhood, and but we're still part of that area, we're still part of that community, and so we're going out, we're talking to homeless people, we're providing them food, clothing, resources, if they so desire. And so that and us funding those missionaries in other countries, that's important too, but it's more important that we minister to the people around us. And so similarly with government, we have to put all of our effort and resources into the local stuff.
Absolutely.
First, and then we can work. It's kind of like the whole Jordan Peterson thing, where it's like first clean your own room. Clean your room first. Do that.
Once again, another guy that we don't agree with, but that we believe has a good message.
He has a good. At least he has a good point. control the things that are within your control, and what's more in control than your local community.
Yeah. In this, one last thing before we move on to the next segment, but it's, on a political level too. Like, I understand to an extent, like, for a reasonable extent, to taxes. Like, if used in its proper way, I think it can be used in a lot of great ways. We, once again, it's that idea of like, we're paying taxes on a local level because we want to keep our streets clean. We want to help out, like, I don't want to fund giving guys clean heroin needles. No, let's get these. Let's use that money that we're being taxed on. Let's have a place where these people can get the help that they need, whether it's a rehab center or or if need be, like an insane asylum, that, like, where they can be properly cared for by people who are trained to do that. Not because we don't care about them, we just want to throw them in a hole, but leaving them out on the streets to just either kill themselves or take out a bunch of other people with them.
Or to live in their own shit. Like, that's to me, call me crazy, but that's not compassion to me. Allowing someone to live in their own, like, literal shit is not compassion.
Yeah, I don't see that as compassion. Like, I think being able to use, I don't mind having my tax dollars used for something that's going to help those people. That's great. Not because I don't want to help them myself, but I don't have the tools to help them. I can have all the wishes and wants that I can muster, but positive vibes and like something out of The Secret is not going to help those people. But I'm utilizing, and it's not a Scrooge mentality either. It's the idea of, like, we have all this money that we're having taken in. Let's stop, spending money on stupid shit. Let's spend it on the things that actually matter. Let's spend it on, like, getting these guys into places that can actually help them, facilities that can help them. Let's fund, like, getting our streets cleaned back up. Let's upgrade our infrastructure. Like, our streets out here are awful. They're terrible. They're constantly potholes that are, like, could swallow a small child. It's there's our power grid, which has not, at best, has not been upgraded in 20 years.
Right, yeah, because of all the subsidies they're giving to green energy and solar panels, or people to get solar panels.
And then I wonder, like, like I said, it's not just solely the issue, but, like, it's been one of the problems that's caused. Actually, it's caused quite a few of the wildfires. It's one of the contributors. Yeah, it's like I said, I don't mind paying taxes. I just want my taxes going to what it should be paying for. I don't want it to go into some political, to some political candidate, or I don't want it to go to some special interest group, because we gotta pay those guys off because they got that candidate in the office.
Mm-hmm.
I'm tired of it.
Absolutely.
I would rather keep, instead of, because we're getting to the point where we're almost, in this state, we're almost taxed 6% on a state tax.
Yeah, on a state, yeah.
On a state level, that's insane.
Seriously. I know. I mean, it's like, people are like, they'll still bend over, and ask for more, sir. When the founding fathers, when they kicked off the Revolutionary War, it was like 3 to 5% tax.
And it's like, nope, not
and they're
happening.
like, no, are you fucking kidding me? Or you might as well kill me now. But here we are in the former great state of California. It's like, yeah, like, we're gonna take 60% of your money. It's like, okay. So at least I can go, surfing and, skiing, in the same day. Jeez.
Yeah, that's that's one great thing about California. But it used to be a whole lot better. I mean, it was more than just that. We actually used to have a thriving society that people wanted to live in. People are leaving this state in droves. And I don't blame them.
Yeah, the cost of a U-Haul
so
leaving California is like 5 times the cost of a U-Haul coming into California.
Yep.
Yeah, no, they're actually, and then U-Haul in California is actually having a supply problem because people keep leaving.
Yeah.
And not enough people are coming back in.
Nope.
So, ironies upon ironies.
Speaking of a state save.
Mm-hmm. Why don't you kick it off? I'm gonna go use the bathroom.
Okay. So from what I understand, so obviously we talked about last week with Larry Elder running for governor, which is great. I was so excited to hear that news. However, and the big however, that it was the state like of California, not the actual like Secretary of State in the White House, on a state level. And these kind of details, I'm not really too sure of, like what the actual problem is. But supposedly there was some issue with with his file, as far as like taxes go, like whether he was supposed to redact something or he didn't redact something or whatever, or some critical piece of information was just happened to go missing, and or it wasn't or like they added too much or something. What the issue was, and actually Larry Elder himself is not really sure what the hell the issue is there, because everything that he was told to do, he did. And so now it's kind of like I think he's going to be left off the ballot because of that, or at least that's the threat. And he's starting to say, okay, if you're going to do that, then I will sue the hell out of this state. It's like, because you are keeping me off of the ballot.
Right, and this is the same tactic they did to try to keep Trump off the ballot here in California, because of they're basically they're doing the same tactic, like something to do with the tax returns, and so although Gavin Newsom does not have to file disclose his tax taxes.
He's not held to the same standard. It's one thing if like everyone's held to the same standard, even the incumbent that's being challenged, but I'll be like, okay, fine, and if he messed up, okay, then we'll go back to the I guess maybe voting for Faulkner at that point. But the fact that this is one of those political plays that of course is going to happen. I got a few mosquitoes in the apartment, I think. I knew this is going to happen. Like we get one piece of good news, and then it's like, and this is, to me, this is the one candidate that can challenge this guy and make a difference.
The best chance of winning.
Because they have nothing. They have nothing to go against him.
Yeah, I mean, what are the merits of the Gavin Newsom? Nothing. There really is nothing. Failing infrastructure, failed forest management, failed power management, failed homelessness, failed, God, you name it. Even failed regulations, because he didn't follow his own damn regulations during the lockdowns last year. He said like, oh, you can't go see your family for Thanksgiving, but I can go sit with 10 people who are not from my family, indoors with no masks, and that's fine. I mean, they even put out that ridiculous thing about them, that people had to wear put up their masks in between bites of food.
Lest we forget that that dinner was not just random people. These were
No.
health advice. The people that are in the California Health Department.
Yeah, they're lobbyists. They're the ones that told Gavin Newsom what to do.
Yeah, just this wasn't just like his family and friends. No, these were all the people that put this crap in place, and yet clearly they don't care about it. So why should we? It's and then it's kind of that non-apology thing that he gave it. Like,
yeah, it's like what I should have done is, as soon as I saw all those people, I should have just got back into my car, turned around, went home, made myself a sandwich, turned on HBO, watched the a movie, the non-apology of non-apologies.
He's telling us his whole fucking life story. It's like, I don't care about, like, why am I hearing this story? Like, this has nothing to do with anything. It's a word salad, and everyone just like, oh, okay, whatever, not a big deal. It's like, that's a fucking huge deal, guys. I'm sorry, this is not satisfactory at all.
Yeah, fucking Patrick Bateman looking motherfucker.
I'd almost take Patrick Bateman at this point. At least it eliminates people. Like, just like, okay, this guy's useless. He needs to die.
I mean, you're not wrong. But yeah, Larry Elder is like, what is it? OAN, One America News Network. They did a Twitter poll over the weekend, and Larry Elder blew everyone out of the water. But also, very disappointingly, Caitlyn Jenner was number 2. Over Kevin Faulkner, over John Cox even. Caitlyn Jenner, Bruce Jenner, he got runner up.
He's at best he's a Bush senior conservative, which is not really conservative at all.
Right. Yeah, he's a neocon.
Yeah. It's like it's just like, this is the Democrat. It's like all his what he calls himself a Republican. Ooh, he called himself a Republican. That means he's a Republican. Everyone just buys into it, and it's like they're into the it's a famous name, and it's think of all the headlines, and we can go so far. It's like, but he doesn't stand for anything. He doesn't stand for you. He doesn't stand for anything. He doesn't even stand for manhood at this point. I mean, I don't know if he hacked off his cock, but I mean, at this point, like, who cares?
Right. Yeah. I mean, there's rumors that he didn't get the bottom surgery, so we don't know. We don't know.
I mean, guy looks like fucking Buffalo Bill, and we're gonna vote for that guy.
Would you fuck me? I'd fuck me.
Great performance by Corbin Bernstein. I rewatched.
Oh my god, that is him, isn't it? Oh jeez.
I had not watched that movie since probably about like '93, and so I had forgotten. Like, I was like, oh my god, that's Corbin Bernstein. No way! Anthony Hopkins' performance, like, so, like, just, obviously that's what you remember. Mm-hmm. But I was like, no shit, that's Corbin Bernstein. God damn, that guy's a great actor. Like, I forgot how. He's been in a lot of TV stuff since then, but, like, man, like, he was legit a good actor.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's right. Oh man. I mean, for those of you, probably more familiar with his work on TV, like, paying what's that? The dad of the guy on Psych.
Oh, that's right. He was the dad on Psych. Yeah, I'm thinking that was a different actor that was on Monk. No, this is the dad on Psych, and he's great. He's great in that show, by the way.
Yeah. But yes, we still would recommend him. I know, like, I had a little misgivings, particularly on his stance on mask and particularly on his website. But he recently, he came out with a stronger stance, which is appreciated. Um, and I still vote for him. I will still vote if he's on the ballot. I will vote for him.
I like it. We have to remember this guy has not run for. He's a political pundit, sure.
Yes.
But he's never really run for political office, and I liken him to more like maybe not a little bit like Trump, where it's like he's a rookie in a sense.
He's an outsider.
He's got the rookie stripes on his back, and so he's gonna make mistakes like that. But I think when it comes to, I don't think that he was necessarily being weak on purpose, but I think he's starting to like, he has to.
Well, I mean,
you almost have to act and think a little bit differently when you're an actual political candidate as opposed to being a political pundit.
Well, here's the thing, because I don't know if the Republicans are aware of this, but medical tyranny and medical segregation is going to be a really big issue for a lot of people. Particularly those who don't want to get the vaccine, or for whatever reason, whether they're anti-vaxxers or they just don't want to take this experimental gene therapy, that's being called a vaccine, or this, or because it hasn't been FDA approved, it's only emergency use authorized still. But these pushes from even companies saying that they're going to institute vaccine passports or whatever, or like even medical segregation based on like not having non-vaccinated people constantly continue to wear masks. That's going to be a really big issue for people, and a lot of people are watching, and a lot of people even in other states and other elections, there's some candidates who don't have a strong stance on this stuff, and it does matter. But what I think is that that if the Republican Party is going to be blind to this issue, then they're going to be out a lot of votes.
Yeah.
So like they have to like wise up really fast, and they can't keep doing the playbook from 4 years ago with like economy, immigration, or whatever. They have to do what the issues are for people now. And right now it's the vaccine passport, it's masks, it's lockdowns. Those are the issues that are on the forefront of people's minds.
And I think what would be what I would like to see more political candidates do is this goes back to like losing some power and giving it back to the people, is that the scope of emergency power that quote unquote emergency power that a lot of these guys have needs to be way lessened.
Right. Yeah. I mean, exactly. Like it's been a year and a half, and Gavin Newsom still is using emergency powers. Again, emergency denotes immediacy. It's a year and a fucking half. It's like, when has there ever been emergency that lasted a year and a half? I mean, after 9/11, things more or less like simmered down like a month, like 2 months in, at the most.
But see, like, and even in that case, like we have something I didn't think about at the time, that like I remember there was a lot of backlash where a lot of what people would consider like kind of those political lunatics, like kind of talking about like anti-America, and they hate the Patriot Act and stuff like that. It's like when I think about that, it's like, God damn, those people are right. I wish I had paid attention. I didn't think of that. I was still a teenager, so I had no vote, I had nothing. But like, the idea that that has become a real problem. Like, that's a program that thing still exists.
Yeah. Every year it's voted on, and every year it's passed.
The TSA still exists.
Right. Yeah. The whole like security checkpoint thing, that was supposed to be temporary. But now, like it's grown even more to like the point where it's like a new government agency. Like they have more intrusive, methods of searching you, like a la the full body scan, where it can like it sees through clothing.
Yeah, and the thing is, not only has it like, and this isn't necessarily like I don't think it's part of TSA, but like the idea of screening has gotten worse because I can't go to a Dodger game without like I literally like feel like I'm getting strip search half the time when I go to Dodger Stadium. It's like I almost don't want to go anymore. Like this is no fun. Like I just want to go watch the fucking baseball game. I don't want to like I want to enjoy a beer and a hot dog and watch the goddamn game. I don't need to like. I don't want to have to take off my shoes and my belt and all this other shit.
Yeah, a cavity search should not be standard procedure for a Dodger game.
Like, if that's the case, like I'm just gonna stop going altogether. Like I'm tired of it.
Yeah, I mean, but that's disturbingly, that's also part of the plan, because because I saw this video, kind of making like you know dissecting like what's happening here like already exists in China, and like one of the things that the Chinese Communist Party does is they make doing things exceedingly difficult. So like you constantly have to show ID, or you have to do this, or you have to do that. So like it's to the point like people don't want to go out or do anything anymore. And so like what are they doing now with like these masks and like potentially vaccine passports and things like that. They're making it harder and harder to do ordinary mundane things, to the point where like you just shutter in your house all day and just order shit off Amazon.
Yeah, that's the other thing I kind of like. I am torn on that because like I mean I was already kind of like I didn't really want to go out all that much to begin with, but it just it frustrates the hell out of me. I hate doing anything now. It's not it's not fun anymore.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, but then again, it's like that just might be par for the course. What like the ultimate plan is like just like to get us so frustrated, to get us so like demoralized, like we don't want to do anything, like, and so more and more we're just willing to like just like please make an end, and we'll do anything, just please make an end. But
oh no, yeah. See, here's for me, I'm like, no, don't make it end. It's like you're just not gonna get my money anymore. Like, and
well,
I would almost encourage people like it's like okay, well, if we all stop going, and it's like oh shit, no one's doing anything, we're fucked. It's like okay, we're gonna reverse all this shit, and then there you go. That's it's not like it's a. I mean, it's some sort of a boycott, but I know it's never gonna happen. Like I'm just kind of people are.
Yeah. But I mean, again, it goes back to the idea that you have to you just have to do it yourself. It doesn't matter if you have if it's just yourself or you have an army of people behind you. You just have to do it for yourself, and in that way you can live with yourself. You can say at least I did it.
Yeah. It's like you're right. I mean, yes, I still care about like our, about fiscal responsibility because we give so much fucking money that like we're money that has never existed. We're spending money that has never existed, yet.
Well, we in the last year we printed a third of all money ever printed in the United States.
Yeah, that should scare the hell out of people a lot.
It should. Yeah, like just think about that. Since the founding of this nation, a third of what money we actually printed out or actually had value, we just printed it out like it was nothing.
Yeah, I mean it wasn't even like not even a blink of an eye. It just like oh yeah,
Yeah, not
This
even an
is
afterthought. It wasn't even an afterthought. It was like, yep, just do it.
this is both, you know, supposedly Republican and Democrat is the same fucking thing. Like they're just like, yeah, and to at least like on the first go around, I kind of understood that because, but the thing is, a majority of that money did not go where it was supposed to go. It went
Right.
to special interest groups, it went to politicians, and it went to their friends. That's
Yeah.
where
And it went to fraud too. I mean, just in California, you know, the fraud for the unemployment stuff that, you know, that prisoners were eligible to get.
yep. Trust me, we dealt with like on the postal level. Yeah, we could tell it because there. And this is just stuff that we saw is that people were coming in and it's like, hey, like I got all this stuff from like the unemployment office, like it's my address, but like there's all these names. You know, it's like none of these people have ever lived at our house. I mean, we've lived there for like 40 years. No one's ever, you know, none of these people have ever lived at this house.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, and so there is a huge amount of fraud going on from just that alone.
Yeah. Yeah, because it's all because, yeah, again, because of the the loosening of restrictions. You know, it's like
But
because like
you know, and we do still have some honest people in our society. Like, you know, they could have easily, it's like, oh wow, I got all this stuff, cool. You know, they could have gone that direction.
mm-hmm.
Just yeah. But here's hopefully to Larry Elder, you know, kind of getting that situation fixed because he's like God, he's our best shot, you know, to make anything happen in the state.
Yeah, I mean, I'm fairly confident that he will be on it because it's literally the same thing that they did to Trump, and the courts, you know, shot it down because it was unconstitutional. And so, you know, since there is a precedent, you know, they have to follow, you know, because that's what kind of sucks about our justice system, because like no one's willing to go like step outside the box. And in this case, I hope that they don't step out of the box and they play firmly within the established sandbox, and that
Yeah.
and they uphold the decision to allow Larry Elders to be included on the ballot for this upcoming recall election.
Yeah,
Because they had to allow for Trump.
Yeah. The if Newsom wins this election, though, that this man is going to go full on tyrant. I guarantee it.
He's gonna go full Palpatine.
Yeah.
He's gonna go full Palpatine. And I'm not even joking about that. And I'm not even like I'm not even doing like a metaphor or simile. I'm saying he will pronounce himself Emperor of California, and he's gonna, you know, lock us down forever, and you know, so on and so forth.
Yeah, I really have that feeling because that will be his way of vengeance.
Yeah, of course. But yeah, I mean, I'm still willing to roll the dice.
I'd rather roll the dice. That's why I signed. I was like, once I heard that there was gonna be a potential recall, I was like, I signed up, baby, because I this is awful.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So yeah, go out there and vote. Just don't vote for Gavin Newsom.
Yeah, and yeah, I think that's the only thing that we're voting for. It's not anything else. That
There's no like special ballot measures or whatever. It's just straight like it's like, should Gavin Newsom be recalled? Yes or no? If yes, then who should replace him?
Yeah.
And then you just have, you know, and then whoever gets 50, even like I think 51% wins.
Nice.
Oh no! If it's 51% agree that
he should be recalled,
if Gavin Newsom should be recalled, then whoever has the most votes out of the Part B, then they become the governor.
Right. That's how it works.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
All right. So yeah, go vote. Just make sure that yes, we want to recall this fucker, and yes, we want Larry Elder.
yes, I do. God, do I.
All right, enough of that. Let's end on a high note as always, and let's get into our movie review for tonight. And again, it being Military Courtroom Procedural Month. Wow, that's a mouthful. We should
It
be like
really
the
is.
yeah. We should do like the military and just come up with an acronym.
It'd be a
MCP,
military court month.
MCP month. There you go.
Oh, there you go.
MCP month. Um, and that is a bit of a classic. I mean now, and that is A Few Good Men.
Yeah, honestly, I didn't really look. Normally I try to look and see how it did in the box office and kind of like where kind of where it stood among its peers when it came out. I didn't really. This movie is weird because I had never actually like watched it in its entirety in like one sitting. I've seen the whole movie, but I've never like seen it just from
Start to
start
finish.
to credits.
Yeah, from
It's always
opening to closing credits.
Yeah, and I've always watched the TV version. I've never watched the actual theatrical version.
Same.
So that was kind of a treat this time around to watch A Few Good Men.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really it's made by the lefties, but it has a very balanced message in a way, which was very surprising.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, let's get into this. Let me hit y'all with the synopsis and we'll get rolling. All right. Lieutenant Daniel Cappy is a military lawyer defending 2 U.S. Marines charged with killing a fellow Marine at the Guantanamo Bay Naval Base in Cuba. Although Cappy is known for seeking plea bargains, a fellow lawyer, Lieutenant Commander Joanne Galloway, convinces him that the accused Marines were most likely carrying out an order from a commanding officer. Cappy takes a risk by calling Colonel Nathan R. Jessup to the stand in an effort to uncover the conspiracy.
I was really blown away by this movie. Is really good.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
It's it's obviously it's a Navy movie, so maybe I'm a little bit biased because obviously I was in the Navy.
Mm-hmm.
And what I was telling Andy is I actually I came very close to choosing the joining that type of unit,
the JAG Corps,
the legal men. I think the rating was like legal men or something, something along those lines.
the rating. Oh, the rating was right.
Yeah, the rating, because I came in as an enlisted person. I wasn't an officer.
Right.
But yeah, I actually came very close to doing that. But obviously I chose a different rating, and that was. But yeah, it's just I find it quite fascinating. Obviously, like with the officers, you have a lot of the young upstarts and guys who a guy like Tom Cruise's character who he's pretty much like he's fresh out of law school. He used the Navy as a way, and a lot of times like a lot of these guys use the Navy as a way to pay for their schooling, and then they have to serve a certain amount of time in the Navy as kind of like as a payback.
Right.
For that.
Yeah, I mean my cousin did that. He was gonna join the Air Force, become a doctor, but certain things happened. But he then ended up joining up with the Army, and yeah, now he's in medical school, and he's a commissioned officer.
Right, and that's kind of like where Tom Cruise's character is at. Like he's kind of serving out his time in the Navy, and he's a very skilled lawyer, and he comes from a lawyer family, so he's
right.
Well,
yeah, like his father was former AG, so that's Attorney General.
Yeah. And so obviously very skilled lawyer, comes from a skilled background, but he's kind of a hotshot. A lot of those early Tom Cruise films, like he's kind of this like young hotshot that like kind of doesn't play by the rules. You know, you think like all Top Gun or Days of Thunder.
It's funny because like now he's more of an establishment character, or at least like at least when he does like the Mission Impossible ones, like he's an establishment character, and even in Jack Reacher, he's a bit of an establishment character, even though he works out, kind of works in a gray area in those movies. But yeah, early on, he's like kind of like the upstart. Which I think that's why one of the reasons why the Mummy, the remake that he was in, didn't work, because he kind of played against type, or at least against type at this certain stage in his life.
Yeah, I'm at a later time. I'm going to talk about why that movie didn't work. I have a lot of trust me. I have a
yeah. I know. Well, especially for your affinity for the Universal Monster movie catalog.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about
but that's a different movie. That's for a different time.
But no, so he plays kind of this young upstart, and then you have the more of the seasoned veteran naval officer, played by Demi Moore's character, who is like, you need to take this seriously. Like, we have a real problem here that's going on, and people are, we have a set of rules. They're going against them, and we need to hold them accountable. And these guys were, the guys that they're defending, they're Marines who are, let's be honest, not the sharpest tools in the drawer. And
not the sharpest spoon in the shed.
They're definitely the sharp spoon. That's for damn sure. And that's pretty typical of Marines. Not exactly your best and brightest, at least on the grunt level, like these guys were. They are what they I think they described in the movies, like they eat, bleed, and eat, drink, and bleed Marine. Like, I mean, it's just like that's their whole life, their whole existence.
Yeah, they don't. Demi Moore's character, Commander Galloway, described them as recruit poster Marines.
Yeah, I mean, that's exactly what they are, and they are. Their excuse, like, we were given an order, we followed it. That's what Marines do. We don't question it, because if we question things, we die. That's the thing. It's like, because
they die,
and that's exactly right. And that, in a lot of ways, that's reality.
For them, yeah.
For them, and so there is that kind of, like, there is that balance. You have and the guy that is killed, the was it PFC Santiago, I believe was the name of the victim. He I understand, like, where a lot of the guys are coming from. He's kind of a fuck up. He's always falling behind. Even in training, he can't complete a run without collapsing. He's slow. He doesn't catch on quickly. He can't. He's always dropping his rifle. All these problems, and it's like, if you can't handle that in training, how the hell are you supposed to, like, handle? When you have to go over
combat.
to, like, in combat, you're gonna get people killed. And obviously the guy's like, oh, they're treating me too harshly, and I want to be transferred, and blah blah blah. And Colonel Jessup, to his credit, is like, that would be irresponsible. Yeah, he's kind of an asshole, but, like, he's right.
He's an asshole about it, but he's right.
If we transfer him to another unit, okay, our guys are gonna be fine, but we're gonna hurt other Marines. Like, this guy is not combat ready. It's our job. He obviously he made it through basic training. That's great, but we have an obligation as as his unit to give him further training, and it would be criminal of us to just send him off to another unit, because even if you're in a for the Marines, even if you're in some sort of, like, where you're not necessarily in combat, you still have to be able to be combat ready. You can't, like, there's no such thing as a non-combatant Marine. Like, it just doesn't exist. So I get what they're doing, but you know, had this movie occurred, let's say this movie was set in like the 40s.
Mm-hmm.
This is not a problem at all.
Right.
Like, it's like, oh, that's just like he got fucked up by other Marines because this guy was fucking up, and it was like, we need you to be combat ready. Like, you're gonna kill us all if you're not ready. And it would be a non-issue. But obviously, like, you know, in the 90s, you know, and definitely today, like, if this had happened today, like, oh man, this would be a huge deal.
Mm-hmm.
This would be papers. This would be like, you know, that general that's been doing all the Senate hearings and stuff. He would be crying, oh, terrible. You know, it's like, come, give me a fucking break. Fucking sissy, not a real goddamn general. He's not. That guy has zero. I have zero respect for that guy. I would not.
I know, Mr. It's like, there's white rage. I'm white. I wouldn't understand that. It's like, oh my god, you fucking put. How are you wearing stars right now? How are you fucking wearing stars?
Anyways, but yeah, this is like right around the time where like a lot of the calls against like hazing and stuff like that were happening, and so yeah, this was a movie of its time that actually is still relevant today, to be honest. But this was, a lot of this stuff was happening, and
well, yeah, that's actually interesting because what is it? There was a study done, and like less and less people are meeting the physical requirements to join up.
Yeah.
You know, and I mean, like, save the fact for like the character of, you know, Santiago. He may had a medical reason why he wasn't able to meet the physical requirements, but like, you know, it's just, you know, nowadays it's like kids, like, they just don't have the physical requirements in general.
They are desperate for combat ready people. Like, people are not meeting the requirements at all. Like, what's even worse is, like, especially our special, like, units, like the Navy SEALs,
special operators,
the Green Berets. Yeah,
Recon
like
Marines.
they can't. They don't have enough people, and like, it's funny. Like, they've now allowed women to become SEALs. Not one of them has ever passed.
Mistake.
Like,
mistake.
To be honest, if there's one, I want to shake if there's one woman, if they don't change the standards to become a Navy SEAL, I want to meet the woman that meets those standards, because
yes,
you're either
and I'll buy that bitch a beer.
Yeah, I will buy you a beer, because I want to hear like how you did it. Man. But like I said, you know, Colonel Jessup is not wrong in this. You know, it's like, this guy, we need to train him, and if he's gonna fuck us up, you used to get things like what they call, like what I was telling you, like what they did to Santiago, called a blanket party, and it used to happen in boot camp all the time, like where a guy was fucking up during basic training, and everyone else is, because we all suffer together. One person fucks up, we all fuck up, and we get the punishment for it. And if one guy keeps doing it enough, that guy gets a blanket thrown over him, and they beat the hell out of him with like soap, you know, and soap in a
soap in a towel. Yeah.
And it's like, and they do, and you know what happens? They don't fuck up anymore. They learn. It's like they stop mouthing off. They stop fucking up during during the runs. They figure it out, and I don't think that that's a bad thing. I kind of wish that they would go back to those days, and that's what these guys thought that they were doing to this guy. But apparently, clearly this guy had a medical issue that like no one really understood, because I mean, he was always collapsing from heat exhaustion. And probably like
suffering from fatigue, shortness of breath, chest pains.
And
no one could connect the dots to figure out that this kid was not physically capable of doing the job.
And when they gagged him, I think that a lot of that same thing happened, like where what was happening to him during the runs is he wasn't able to take in enough oxygen, or something was happening to that guy.
Yeah.
Where it's like he really had a medical problem. It really should not have passed the physical examination to become a Marine.
Mm-hmm.
I really think that's what happened to him, and so that's tragic. But at the same time, like at that time he was a Marine, and he had to do his thing, and he was putting people's lives at risk. And supposedly there was some incident that happened at that base in Guantanamo Bay, and he was gonna mouth off about it, but it's like, who knows? We don't even know if what he saw, or if he was just doing something to, like, he was gonna spread rumors or make up information to get himself off the base. That was actually never really specified.
Right.
About
Yeah, we were as the audience, we're just kind of expected to take his word for it that he was telling the truth. But yeah, it could have just been a ploy for him to get off the base or be transferred or whatever.
Yeah, and I suspect he was lying. And I think that, like, and that's the other thing too. Like, if you're telling the truth, like, people will back you up. But in a lot of cases, if you're already an outcast, and then you're gonna do something like that and spread lies about other Marines that didn't actually do anything wrong, and maybe cause some sort of problem in their way to be able to serve, like, the country in a proper way. Yeah, that's a huge problem.
Well, yeah, because it is his word versus the person implicated, which is Lance Corporal Dawson. But Dawson's story was that the mirror, the Cuban sentry posted counter to him was about to fire on him, so that's why he engaged. All we had was each of those Marines' word. Although there was an initial investigation, and the only one who returned a weapon, minus a round, was Corporal Dawson. But we don't know, like, what had happened there. It's not as though they the investigating authorities can go into Cuba and, like, question their guys, and so on and so forth.
Right.
So it really was just one Marine's word against another.
Yeah, but man, what a movie!
Yeah, this movie's great. Like, Aaron Sorkin is a fucking crazy leftist, but damn it if he doesn't know how to do dialogue. Damn it if he doesn't know how to write.
Yeah, and to be honest, like, had this movie, I think, would have had a different bend had he done it today. But here, like, we were actually praising him. It's like, man, he actually created a very balanced movie. Maybe that was not his plan. That's what his intention, but that's what ended up coming out of it. Yeah. And I was like, you know what? He's telling both sides of the story, and it's like, and I was saying, it's like, you know what? When I look at this movie, and this is a very realistic situation that could have taken place, and in a way, both sides are right and both sides are wrong.
Mm-hmm. I mean, much in the same lens as Crimson Tide, where Commander Hunter and Captain Ramsey, they were both right and they were both wrong.
Right, and this goes back to the idea of, like, it's not about, if you think shallowly, like, yeah, everything's very clear. It's like, oh, if everything's black and white to you, it's like, oh, the waters are very clear. But when it comes down to it, like, a lot of these situations that are very complicated, it's very murky, and the truth is not always so clear cut, and what's right and what's wrong is not always clear cut either.
Right. I mean, even, like, to the point where I think Lance Corporal Dawson, he kind of has, like, that epiphany at the end when after they were cleared of most of their charges except for conduct unbecoming a Marine, and so thereby being dishonorably discharged. You know, what is it? Private Downey kind of has like that breakdown, moment where it's like, we did nothing. Like, oh, Colonel Jessup said he ordered the code red. We did nothing wrong. But Dawson, has that awareness where it's like, yeah, we did. We fucked up because and he gives that great speech about how we were supposed to fight for people who couldn't fight for themselves, and we were supposed to protect people that couldn't protect themselves, and it's like and then ultimately we were supposed to fight for guys like Willie or like Santiago, and
Yeah, I think he figured it out. It's like crap, and I think maybe like throughout the entirety of hearing all the testimony, he's like he woke up and like he wasn't like completely like an idiot. He was like, oh shit, yeah, we actually could have done something differently. We didn't have to do that. There's other avenues, and I think when he saw like the whole like legal like the legal background that he did have to use, and he didn't use it, and it's like we did screw up. We messed up here.
I mean, like, yeah, even when, because they reference another incident with another Marine who was like their version of the blanket party, their version or what they call the blanket party or hazing is the code red.
Yeah.
When one of a Marine was confined to quarters and supposedly not given food. But Dawson, he took it upon himself to sneak food to that Marine.
That's right.
And so he exercised his own judgment, and he was, and I do think he was reprimanded for it, in that he wasn't promoted to full corporal, as opposed to like other members of his unit.
Right.
And so like if he, I think if he didn't. If he only exercised that sort of independent thinking in the Santiago situation as that previous situation, I think he would have been better off.
Yeah, probably. And it kind of goes back to like the really tired connection of like with like the Nazis during the Nuremberg trials, like, oh, we were just following orders. It's like yeah, but like come on, like you're following orders, but like you knew like what was right and what was wrong. You can't just like go and like essentially kidnap people, throw them in a hole, and then gas them to death.
Right,
It's like
that's one thing. It's one thing if there's it's one thing if if they're shooting back at you and you shoot them first, then yeah. But this, like them, like again, the Nazis, gassing people or putting them in a pit and shooting them, that's completely different. And I mean, and similarly with here in A Few Good Men and Lance Corporal Dawson and Santiago, if you're able to determine that detaining a Marine and keeping food for him was wrong, you could have exercised your own morality. You could exercise your own belief system and say, hey, beating up on this kid who's already a weakling is probably not a benefit to him.
Yeah, but also in a sense like where I think justice was served, because yes, they did something wrong, but really who was really at fault was the guy like Colonel Jessup, because he was the one that actually did administer the order. He not only did he lie about like giving the order, but like he obviously he had the famous moment of like, you can't handle the truth. It's like, which everything he said was absolutely correct. But it was against military law. It was against the
regulations.
rules. And I almost, in a way, I almost feel sorry for a guy like Colonel Jessup, because he's He's on the upwards. He's towards the back end of his career, but he still has somewhere to go.
Yeah, he still has room.
And,
There's still room for him at the top.
and he also grew up in a time when the Marines was what he was doing. He grew up in back in the late 50s, early 60s when
Yeah, the
he
Nam
enlisted
days.
in the Marines. He which that's my assumption based obviously he's in Vietnam, and since he'd been in for like 30 some years, I'm assuming he was in very early, so the early part of Vietnam.
Right. Yeah, and he's a
He grew
full-blood
up
colonel, so.
Yeah, that was his Marines, and so he lived by that. But the Marines had passed him by, the military had passed him by in a lot of ways, which is kind of tragic because his way is not wrong, but maybe the soft hardness, the liberal bleeding heart of the people that make these laws, obviously they passed him by, and he no longer had really the power that he thought that he had, that he could exercise as a military officer, as a commander of, and he in a lot of ways I think he partly realized that, which is why there was so cover up, but he wasn't wrong either. It's not really a satisfying movie in that way. It's about finding who was right, who was wrong, where's the conspiracy kind of thing. It's a very murky, kind of unsatisfying movie, but it's really good.
Right. I mean, just interesting. I just was thinking about it just now, but really, this movie is about the failure of the individual. Um, it's the failure of Dawson and Downey to exercise their own moral code. It's the failure of Lieutenant Colonel Markinson from not stepping in to try and protect William also. But it's also it's the failure of Colonel Jessup in not uh, you know understanding one of his own men, or taking the time to understand the situation for William. Um, and even for Tom Cruise character Daniel Caffey, initially it's his own failure to try and be his own person, because Commander Galloway gives him that dress down saying, you only joined the Navy because that's what your dad wanted. Now you're only doing now you're just waiting out the clock until you can get out of the Navy and go do what you really want to do. Um, and so yeah, I think this is I think